It's here. It's finally time. Hi, welcome back, friends. Today I am the last person on Earth. Just kidding. I am very late, but today I'm going to watch Scream 6. I can't believe this is a true testament to you guys as well, that I lasted this long without spoilers. I've been really careful on social media. I don't know anything. And because this is so late, it's nearly a month after it was initially released, I am going to do a spoiler. This is going to be a spoiler review. So I'm going to give my full reaction. We're going to go jump in the car. We're going to go see the movie. I'll get in the car and tell you all my thoughts, feelings, concerns. I don't know. I was really deep into discovering all of the bits and pieces when they were coming out, when no one knew who Ghostface was. I was going through the trailers. If you're on my Patreon, I was doing it on my Patreon. I did have a video of me reacting and going through the trailer, and I was ready to do a deep dive video about who I thought Ghostface would be. And then I found out my time when I went away to Japan. If you didn't know, I went to Japan for 3 weeks and they weren't showing it in Japan, that I should kind of take a step back. And then I also found out that someone leaked who the killer was on Reddit. So it kind of killed the buzz for me. And it meant that I couldn't really look online at anything because the answer was already out there. But before that, I was very interested, very intrigued on what's going to happen. Because we're going to do all spoilers, I'm going to give my number one thing that I don't want to happen in this movie, because it's going to be very interesting. I'm sure some of you, most of you, I hope everyone watching this has already seen it. If they mess with Gail, I'm not going to be happy. I am going to be so mad. Gail is the only person I care about, and Kirby. These are things that I've come to my own conclusions at. It's not based on anything. I think that Kirby could be the killer, and I think that Samara Weaving is the opening kill. Obviously, she has to be. I don't have any other thoughts. The only thing that I'm really interested in is the soundbite that was all over all of the trailers and teasers, talking about how this killer is not like any other ones, which makes me feel like it could be AI, but I feel like that would be, I don't think people would react well to that. Like it would be an AI killer, like a robot. I don't know. I was going through all of the theories when I was doing my deep dives. Anyway, I'm very excited. I'm assuming if you're here, you know about Scream. I'm not going to do a huge intro to that, but this Scream takes place in New York City. I believe it was actually filmed in Canada from what I remember, but it follows the same cast from Scream 5, and they're, I guess, moving to a new place to get away from the setting, and apparently Sydney's not in it. I think she will be. I think that she's going to have a cameo, but we'll see. These are all my expectations. My expectations: don't do anything to Courtney Cox. Don't touch her. Don't stay away from my Gail Weathers. I hope that Campbell's going to be in it just for a second. Hayden Panettiere is going to be amazing and possibly be the killer. Let's just get this done before I see a spoiler. I can't believe I went a month without seeing any. Anyway, I was going to take you obviously to Japan to go see it, but they're not showing it in Japan. So let's go see Scream 6. The last person on the earth. Let's go. Hi friends! I really enjoyed that. I have to say, I'm glad I'm doing this as a spoiler review, because that film, I always say I don't know how I would talk about it without, but I'm sure I would have found a way. But it made me really appreciate the film beforehand, number 5. And I really do like, sorry, this is spoiler as well. This is a spoiler alert. If you didn't get the memo at the start, it's full spoilers in this video, okay? I'm going to give you 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get back into it. I do enjoy in some franchises when they connect two films back to back and have them interact with each other, intertwine with each other. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I really enjoyed that aspect of this film, and I think that the fact that it's set up to finally we get to take our time with these characters, where we were just introduced to them in the last one, and in number 5, it took me a while to kind of come around to having these new characters and this new legacy, because I knew, like, obviously Sydney and Dewey and Gail were in it, and knowing it's just about this whole new legacy, it took me a while to get my head around that idea, and I think I was a little bit dark on it, so I really enjoyed this one, and knowing what it was going to be, my expectations were a little bit more balanced, and the fact it was a really good payoff, not only on the lore, the actual lore of the whole franchise, which I really enjoyed. It was also quite tied to the last film that I had invested time and energy in. I felt that pay off a little bit more this time. So, I mean, I'll do a little quick recap, but we've all seen it at this point. If you haven't seen it, don't watch this video. I'm not going to tell you, spoiler alert, just don't watch this video, okay? Scream 6 follows Tara. I'm really trying hard not to say Tara, which is how we'd pronounce it. Tara and Sam, the two sisters, and also the twins Mindy and Chad, who were from the previous entry. Now they moved to New York to try and get a life, to try and make a new life, to get away from everything. But these rumors are starting to follow them about what had just happened in our last episode in Scream 5. And a lot of people think Sam is responsible for the murders and set it all up. It's like about a conspiracy, which I really enjoyed. Again, I love a little bit of a conspiracy, and I feel like it's very on topic today with what people hear and what, I don't know, rumors online and things like that. So I thought that that was a really good way of wrapping it around. And then from there, you know, Ghostface shows up. But the jaw-dropping moment, oh, by the way, I was totally right about Samara Weaving. So sad, but so excited that they let her keep her natural Australian accent. I hope one of you guys out there thought of me when you heard that. But her accent is so intense. She's from the other side of the country than me, and you probably can't tell, but we have very different accents. And I just loved hearing her accent so raw. Like, that made me really, really happy, especially in the opening of a Scream. Like, I really felt that in my core. But, yeah, I knew she was going to die. It was very obvious that she was going to die because she wasn't in any of the trailers, any of the teasers. So rest in peace, but what a legacy, you know? But my jaw hit the floor when it opens to, of course, the villain, who's Jason, being revealed straight away as Ghostface. That killed me, because I thought this is more of like a chit chat than a full-on review than I usually would do, because it's spoiler chat. But I honestly thought that they were going to twist it and do kind of like a Halloween end situation where you're kind of following around the killer and trying to, like, you know, you see it, everything from that point of view. And I actually was there for it for a moment. I was like, oh, it kind of sucks that we've, like, the mystery is gone. But my jaw, I was like, oh my God, they just showed us the killer's face. And I can't imagine what that would have been like with a cinema full of people. It would have been fantastic. But it was an amazing moment and very exciting. But then, of course, I was like, there's gotta be more, and we twist, and then he's killed off. The film itself, let's just talk about it. I really enjoyed the action scenes, the sequences, the fighting sequences, the blocking for them, especially like the bodega scene was very tense, and it's not something we haven't seen before, but they were able to get a little bit more raw with this one, and I think that they knew, like, the directors, because it's the same directors as the last film, the co-directors, I feel like they knew more what they were doing or what they kind of wanted out of this film from doing the last one. Again, we'd already had the characters massaged and ready for us, so we went straight to the action, and they really let the actors take hold on that. And I was really surprised because the character of Sam became my favorite character, other than Gail, and we'll get to that. But I thought she was fantastic, and she really came into her own in this film, because the last one, she was kind of wishy-washy, and I think that they had to keep her like that, because that's the whole thing, is she the killer, isn't she the killer, she's got killer tendencies, and I just really enjoyed what they did with her character in this one. But I think her and Jenna Ortega's character, Tara, I feel like their chemistry was better in this one. They're more believable as sisters, and I really liked how they worked together in these action scenes. Obviously, there's a payoff towards the end when she lets her go, so I thought that all came together and married really, really well. I really enjoyed the action scenes. Something I was not a fan of, the music. The opening sequence music, I know they get into Red Right Hand later in the film. They play it like twice, which you need to. It's a Scream movie. But I felt like there was just the opening sequence music. I have a feeling it matches a different beat for a different artist. This is total speculation, but it matches a different beat from a different artist that's quite controversial at the moment. And I feel like it was like switched and replaced, or it was just a very odd choice. And then they had like this Billie Eilish song that came in, and I like Billie. I love that song as well, but it just didn't fit, and it was in for like 20 seconds and then went back out. And it was very, I don't know, I thought that the music was an odd choice. Just the tracks they chose, I just didn't feel like it fitted, or it just felt a little bit forced. Yeah, that's my bad notes on those. I almost cried when they brought up the Dewey theme song, and I'm really glad they did that. I think paying tribute to the earlier films is so needed in this franchise, and yeah, I thought that was a really good moment. But what I loved probably the most about this film is the fact that it goes back and goes through the lore. Kirby shows up. So exciting. And she looks so much better than that damn still that we kept seeing. She looked like Tiffany. Like Chucky Tiffany. But she looked great. She looks fantastic, by the way. Hayden Panettiere, absolutely fantastic. And I liked her character, and I felt like she had really good motive to be the killer as well. But I knew it wasn't going to happen when they kind of figured it out without it being a reveal. Like, they thought, oh, we have this information about how she was an FBI agent, and then she was like put off the job because of mental health reasons. So I feel like it was a little bit obvious that it wasn't exactly her. And I do want to say, I kind of, like, I don't want to say predicted, but I definitely had the feeling it was the cop and the daughter working together. I didn't get that that was their son, but I knew something had happened because as soon as the daughter, the roommate, brought up the fact that her brother died, and they never kind of went into that, and then she said her dad's a cop, I just felt like something weird was going on, and we needed more information, and more information would come to us later, as it did. And especially, yeah, there was just a lot of things that I was like, and then of course when the cop got the information of the shrink, or the psychiatrist, that Sam had been going to, was the exact moment she said, I'll give you the information of him. And that was the exact moment that he was killed. And then his files were taken, like the next scene or the scene after that happened. And then another thing that I caught was, the boy, I forget his name, the Pete Evans lookalike guy who was the brother, also a killer. He had a knife on his head on like a costume he was wearing at the start, and I knew he was gonna get stabbed in the face. But that can never, because the best thing about Scream is it doesn't matter if you get stabbed in the face. It doesn't predict whether that means you're a victim or if you're a ghost face, you know, and someone's stabbing you. So I knew that he was gonna die, but I just didn't know how. So those are the little things I picked up on. Also, of course, in the subway scene, which was towards the end of the film, which was really interesting, or I guess like the second half of the film, all of the Easter egg costumes, including they had Jordan Peele's Us, which I thought was really cool. They had Midsummer in there. They had you could probably watch that endlessly, and I just thought that was really cool to do it in that kind of style. But yeah, one of my favorite parts about the whole film was the lore, and they paid proper tribute to all of the killers, which I really liked, just seeing the papers laid out and all of the costumes and all the props. It was just really exciting. My predictions at the start though, I'm very sad that Sydney did not show up, and when Gail got stabbed, I was shrieking my little heart out. I was squirming in my seat. You could, oh my God, I was like, no. And I think she pulled through. They said she was going to be okay, but we didn't get to see her again, which was very interesting that they didn't just show her, I don't know, like the other chick, Mindy, got there. I know that obviously she had more wounds, and she was obviously a little bit more beat up, but I just would have liked some confirmation, some video confirmation. She calls, has a voice call, says I'm fine. I needed that. So it was a very close call. They need to keep her in this. Like, I'm holding on to her, you know what I mean? And maybe Kirby will come back as well, which I'm really glad that, yeah, I thought that Kirby's character in it was just so poetic, but I did think she had really good motive to be the killer as well, because I also think that you don't really know how she reacted from when she was in her original film, and it turns out like the guy that liked her was the killer. It could have really messed with her, and she says at one point she wanted to become something scary, and I felt like that was like a nod to her. Is she the killer? Did she become the killer instead of the prey? And yeah, so anyway, that was my thoughts. I really enjoyed Kirby in there. Overall, I was just really happy that the lore weaved in a little bit more, and I think it's easier for me to digest this film, just being completely honest, now that I know these characters, and it did take me a whole movie to warm up to them in the last. So I'm happy we're here, but I don't know, like it's just a different chapter to the original 4, even though the 4th one was like a little bit different as well and kind of introduced like a new generation. It's taken a little bit, I guess the stylization is very different, not having Wes Craven, and I've finally kind of warmed up to it, and now I really enjoy Sam's character. I would really like to see what happens with her next. So I will say I enjoyed this one more than the last one. I thought the action scenes were great, and I was really glued. I was really immersed. What impresses me the most, I guess, about this is the 6th. I've been doing a lot of deep dives lately. You guys know, hopefully, that I watch Children of the Corn, all 10 films. I did Nightmare on Elm Street. I've done a bunch recently, and Scream is always a joy to watch, but I cannot believe that this is the 6th film in this franchise and it's still good, let alone like good but like watchable. It just doesn't happen. I'm sorry, but it just does not happen. And as like a reboot sequel, a requel sequel, I think that's a great legacy. It's a great legacy, but I have to say my heart is a little bit broken about Sydney. I really wanted her to show up. I'm so sad, like, because you hear all those rumors about why she didn't come back, and totally understandable, and I mean, we don't know all the details, but I hoped that they were pranking us, you know what I mean? I wanted them to be fooling us so that she could show up and have this amazing moment, and for her not to have that, like, kind of breaks my heart a little bit. I feel like I've talked about this film a lot and got a lot of my thoughts out. I'm very excited to see yours. My score, though, this is interesting because I think I gave the last one a 7, and if I had to, I would give this one a 7.5. It's just not an 8 film for me. And I know that sounds really weird with everything else I said, but I think that it achieved and it like hit my expectations, but it didn't like overly exceed them. I just was really, I really enjoyed it. But I don't think it's, to give a film an 8 or a 9 for me, like it has to have a layer of depth. And I'm not saying, I am kind of saying that. It's just a slasher film that I really enjoy, and I really love this franchise. And I have given other films in this franchise an 8, and I just don't think it is up to the same caliber as those ones. I hope that makes sense. So this again is a personal score, so I'm going to give this one a 7. If I gave out halves, I would give 7.5. For scare, I don't think it's as scary as the last one. I don't know. I think that the action scenes were like definitely on the edge of my seat. I think it was more tense. It was very tense, especially that ladder scene. I'm like, oh my god, girl, if you do not, I knew it was going to happen, you know? I think that's this thing about this style of Ghostface, all these like style of Scream movies. They're really, you know what's going to happen. You have that predictability factor and you know what's going to happen in each scene. And then you have to like sit there and squirm through it. And I definitely felt that during that latter scene. So for scare, I'm going to give it it's quite bloody. I don't know how desensitized I am. A 7? A 7 or a 6? And for originality, I'm going to give it a 6. I thought it was cool having multiple killers. The reveal, I feel like with reveals in Scream movies, I always expect them to fool me completely. And because it didn't, I still enjoyed it because it kind of scratched that itch and still fell in line. I felt like the killers in this one made sense. And it was just, it was good that they made sense, because sometimes in films, especially slashers, killers don't always make sense and their motives don't make sense. So it all worked out. As soon as I knew she had a dead brother, I was like, something is going on here. And it was all connected. So that's my overdue thoughts on Scream 6. I'm excited to hear what you guys thought and what you scored it. Let me know what you scored it, your personal score. I want to know if, I haven't really looked at anyone else's score. I haven't heard anything else. So I really want to know where I fall with everyone else in the community. So thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me. I have another come with me, which will be spoiler free, for a new movie. A very strange movie's coming out. It's a religious movie, that's a hint, this week, and I haven't heard anyone talk about it, so I'm gonna take you guys with me to the cinemas to check that one out, and I hope I enjoyed it as much as this one. So I'll see you guys then. I hope you stay safe and stay spooky, and I'll talk to you all very soon. Bye, friends.